quite a few ways that you can actually do it. And I've just recently worked with a family as a doula where they decided that they were going to care for their loved one at home and not use a funeral director at all. So it was an amazing journey. They did an incredible job. So when their loved one and when their father passed away, they decided that definitely didn't want to embalm him. Embalm is actually not necessary the majority of the time. There is sometimes when it's necessary. They decided to keep Dad at home rather than him going to the funeral directors to be in their chiller. They actually had a chiller at their property, which was empty at the time, and so they used that to keep Dad nice and cool. They washed him and cleansed him, and it was just a beautiful experience watching the son shaving his father really, really carefully and talking. Lots of wonderful discussion, korero that's happening all around that time. They built the coffin themselves. They arranged all the paperwork. So the paperwork side of it is something which is very hidden and not well known, and it certainly can be done by yourselves. It doesn't have to be done by a funeral director. So the funeral director will itemise that as administration costs, and will charge quite a lot of money for something which actually doesn't take very long at all. So once you know the details of how to do that, and a doula can help you with that as well as attending our workshops, then they can do that themselves. So we even had to teach the doctor who attended and wrote the medical certificate on how to do it, because he had absolutely no idea that this was actually possible. And of course, and they had the funeral celebration at home. They delivered him to the crematorium. They rang the crematorium and booked him in. Transport costs are huge. So, but anybody can, as long as you've got a vehicle that can take the coffin, like the Māori do. It's okay, you know, you don't actually have to use their flash hearse. It helps also if there is council-owned crematoriums, which we're lucky to have here in Tauranga. Otherwise, the crematoriums are owned by the funeral companies themselves. So they kind of got the monopoly on a lot of this at the moment.
Are you seeing, Gaylene, are you seeing a lot of this happening? A lot of DIY funerals?
It's not a lot, but it's certainly starting to happen a lot more. And the funeral industry, a lot of the funeral industry are getting on board to a degree to help with that. So there's also a lot of hybrid funerals happening where people are doing some parts, but not all of it. So you can talk with the funeral director about what you would like to do. We encourage things like, instead of buying funeral flowers, it's a bit like buying wedding flowers. They're always much more expensive when you add those two words to it. We invite people to, you know, everybody who's coming to the funeral, perhaps put a flower from their garden on the coffin instead. There's so many other ways. It's looking outside the square and seeing how else that we can do things, and inviting the community to get on board and to help out as well, which is just amazing. So bringing that community feeling back again, which we've lost along the way too.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Gaylene, it has been lovely having you on the program, and thank you for the work that you are doing with families. It really is beautiful. Gaylene Delaney.